he was seeking revenge and all those things. And I think that's a bit sad.
Football is a beautiful game, but behind the handshakes, trophies, and team photos, some of the biggest stars in the sport genuinely cannot stand each other. We're talking about real hatred, stolen partners, racial abuse allegations, tunnel confrontations before a ball is even kicked, and grudges that lasted for years. These are footballers who became enemies in real life, and some of these stories are almost unbelievable. Let's start with one of the fiercest rivalries football has ever seen: Roy Keane versus Patrick Vieira. In the late 1990s and early 2000s, Manchester United and Arsenal dominated English football. Whenever the two sides met, it felt like far more than a football match. It was a battle for supremacy, with Keane and Vieira leading their armies into war. For 9 seasons, their Premier League careers overlapped. During that period, either Manchester United or Arsenal won the league title in all but one campaign. These were England's two most powerful teams, captained by two of the most intimidating figures the game has ever produced. Neither man backed down from a challenge, and neither wanted to lose. But the moment that defined their rivalry forever came on February 1, 2005, at Highbury. Before kickoff, before the referee's whistle, before a single pass had been played, chaos erupted in the tunnel. Manchester United defender Gary Neville later recalled hearing shouting and commotion as the players prepared to walk out onto the pitch. Vieira confronted Neville, accusing him of targeting Arsenal players and reportedly warning him, "You won't be kicking our players today." Then Roy Keane arrived. Having forgotten his captain's armband, Keane returned to the tunnel and walked straight into the confrontation. Never one to avoid conflict, he immediately stepped in and challenged Vieira face to face. The exchange quickly became one of the most famous tunnel clashes in football history. Cameras captured the heated confrontation as teammates and officials scrambled to separate the two captains. The match had not even started, yet the war was already underway.
Karim Benzema has been found guilty of complicity in the attempted blackmail. Former France.
Problem in Barcelona was one man, and that's the philosophy.
The wound is still wide open: Sergio Ramos and Lionel Messi. Now, let's move to the biggest stage in club football, El Clasico. Real Madrid versus Barcelona. A rivalry that defined an entire era of the sport. At the heart of that rivalry stood two icons: Sergio Ramos and Lionel Messi, a defender and an attacker who genuinely could not stand each other whenever they stepped onto the pitch. For nearly 15 years of El Clasico battles, Ramos seemed determined to stop Messi by any means necessary. The former Real Madrid captain marked the Argentine superstar with an aggression that often crossed the line. Over the years, Ramos produced a collection of infamous tackles on Messi, earning 2 red cards directly related to challenges on the Barcelona legend. Think about that. Sent off twice for incidents involving the same player. These were not simply mistimed tackles. In Barcelona's famous 5-0 victory over Real Madrid in 2010, Ramos lashed out at Messi in frustration during the closing stages. Then, 7 years later, he launched into another reckless challenge that reignited the hostility between them. But the moment that truly shocked the football world came in March 2019 at the Santiago Bernabeu. Just before halftime, Ramos appeared to intentionally elbow Messi during an off-the-ball clash. The two immediately squared up, pressing their heads together as teammates and officials rushed in to separate them. The aftermath was even more controversial. Messi was left with blood in his mouth following the incident. Barcelona defender Gerard Piqué was furious, later claiming that the challenge was a clear red card. According to Piqué, Messi was visibly bleeding, yet neither the referee nor the VAR officials took action against Ramos. Years later, Messi himself confirmed just how intense the rivalry had been. Speaking on his nephew's YouTube channel, he admitted, "I fought a lot with Sergio Ramos. He was the player I was most angry with." Out of every opponent Messi faced during his legendary career, Ramos was the one who frustrated him the most. Then came football's cruelest twist. In 2021, the two rivals became teammates at Paris Saint-Germain. After years of battles, tackles, and confrontations, they suddenly found themselves sharing the same dressing room and training ground. Imagine that first day at work. For over a decade, they had been sworn enemies. Now they were expected to chase the same trophies together. Football has produced many rivalries, but few have been as fierce, personal, and unforgettable as the war between Sergio Ramos and Lionel Messi. My annoyance was that he went after Gary. You go after one of us, you go after all of us. That was Roy Keane's mindset. As Patrick Vieira confronted Gary Neville in the tunnel before Manchester United's clash with Arsenal at Highbury in February 2005, Keane wasn't about to stand by and watch. Furious at what he saw, the United captain stormed into the confrontation. "We'll see you out there," Keane shouted at Vieira as the two captains squared up face to face. The situation became so heated that referee Graham Poll had to physically intervene, holding Keane back and urging him to calm down before the players even stepped onto the pitch. The game hadn't started, yet one of the Premier League's most famous battles was already underway. Years later, Vieira admitted that he had sparked the confrontation. "I started it," he said. "I was cool. I was calm. I was smiling at him, and then he lost it." The match itself ended in a 4-2 victory for Manchester United, with a young Cristiano Ronaldo scoring twice. But almost nobody remembers the scoreline. What football fans remember is the tunnel incident. The image of Keane and Vieira screaming at each other just moments before kickoff became one of the defining moments of Premier League history. It perfectly captured the intensity of a rivalry that symbolized an era when Manchester United and Arsenal were battling for every trophy and every inch of the pitch. Yet with time came respect. After retirement, both men openly acknowledged the admiration they had for one another. Keane once said, "The biggest compliment I can give Patrick is that I always knew I had to be at my very, very best against him." Vieira's response was equally telling. "He is my favorite enemy." Favorite enemy. If there is a better description of a football rivalry, it is hard to find one. But while Keane and Vieira eventually found mutual respect, the next feud never truly cooled down. Zlatan Ibrahimovic versus Pep Guardiola. And this one was not just football. It was personal. In 2009, Barcelona paid a huge fee to bring Zlatan from Inter Milan. At the time, he was one of the most feared strikers in world football. Yet just one season later, he was gone. Why? According to Zlatan, everything changed when Guardiola decided to build the team entirely around Lionel Messi. Ibrahimovic was moved away from his preferred central role and gradually pushed out of the project. What frustrated him most was not the decision itself, but what he saw as Guardiola's refusal to explain it directly. The bitterness exploded in Zlatan's autobiography, where he delivered one of the most famous insults in football history. "When you buy me, you are buying a Ferrari. If you drive a Ferrari, you put premium fuel in the tank, hit the motorway, and step on the gas." Guardiola filled up with diesel and took it for a drive in the countryside. He should have bought a Fiat. A Ferrari driven like a Fiat. That single quote summed up exactly how Zlatan felt about his time under Guardiola, and it ensured that one of football's most bitter feuds would live on for years to come. Zlatan Ibrahimovic eventually admitted that when he said Cristiano Ronaldo's bicycle kick was the greatest he had ever seen, he was being sarcastic. Of course he was. Not long afterward, Zlatan turned around and claimed that his own bicycle kick against England was better. Because that's Zlatan. His confidence is legendary, his ego is enormous, and when it comes to old grudges, he never lets them go. And honestly, neither do football fans. But if you think that feud was personal, wait until you hear about Mauro Icardi and Maxi Lopez. Because this wasn't just a football rivalry. This was betrayal on a completely different level. Wanda Nora was married to former Argentina striker Maxi Lopez, and when Mauro Icardi arrived in Italy as a young player, Lopez went out of his way to help him settle. He treated him like family. He invited him into his home, took him on holidays, and helped him adapt to life in a new country. The two became close friends. Then everything fell apart. As Lopez's marriage to Wanda Nora began to crumble, rumors started circulating that she was involved with Icardi. The situation exploded into one of football's most infamous scandals. In his autobiography, Icardi revealed that one of their earliest private conversations began with an innocent request. "The day before I left for a tour in the United States, Wanda sent me a message asking if I could buy her a new iPad because it wasn't available in Italy yet." An iPad? According to Icardi's own account, that simple message marked the beginning of a relationship that would change all of their lives forever. Wanda and Maxi Lopez eventually separated, and in 2014, just months after her divorce, she married Icardi. Imagine watching your former best friend marry your ex-wife. The fallout was immediate. When Lopez's Sampdoria faced Icardi's Inter Milan in April 2014, cameras focused on one moment above all others, the pre-match handshake. Icardi offered his hand. Lopez refused to take it. The match was instantly dubbed the Wanda Derby by the international media. But the drama did not stop there. Icardi later tattooed the names of Wanda and Lopez's children on his arm and publicly referred to them as his own family. To many observers, it looked like another painful reminder of everything Lopez had lost. Years later, Lopez admitted he remained uncomfortable with seeing photos of his children shared online without his consent. While the football world moved on, the personal wounds never truly disappeared. Some rivalries end with a final whistle. Some betrayals last forever. And few stories in football are as controversial, shocking, or deeply personal as the saga of Mauro Icardi, Wanda Noro, and Maxi Lopez. The controversy did not end when Luis Suarez served his suspension. In fact, it got even worse. When Liverpool and Manchester United met again in February 2012, the football world was watching. Everyone expected one thing: a handshake between Patrice Evra and Luis Suarez. It never happened. As the players lined up before kickoff, Suarez deliberately refused to shake Evra's hand, walking straight past him. The moment instantly became one of the most infamous scenes in Premier League history. Manchester United manager Sir Alex Ferguson was furious. "He is a disgrace to Liverpool Football Club," Ferguson said afterward. "He should not be allowed to play for Liverpool again." The fallout was immediate. Liverpool's players had already shown public support for Suarez by wearing shirts backing him during the controversy, and many supporters turned their anger toward Evra instead. What followed was far more serious than football rivalry. Evra later revealed that he and his family received numerous death threats after speaking out. Some messages came from people claiming to be Liverpool supporters, threatening violence against him and his loved ones. For months, Evra lived under increased security. Imagine that. A player reports alleged racist abuse, and suddenly he needs protection simply for telling his side of the story. More than a decade later, the bitterness still remains. When the Professional Fighters League once asked Evra who he would most like to face in a fight, his answer came instantly: Luis Suarez. He explained that the unresolved conflict between them still lingered after all these years. Some rivalries fade with time. Some become history. And some leave scars that never fully heal. Now, if that feud was explosive, the next story crossed a line few could have imagined. Karim Benzema and Mathieu Valbuena. This was not a rivalry born on the pitch. This was a scandal that went from the dressing room to the courtroom. One of football's greatest strikers, a Ballon d'Or winner and multiple-time Champions League champion, found himself at the center of a blackmail case involving his own teammate. And the consequences would change both men's careers forever.